Let's go into our spiritual letters by François Fénélon. The first one here is: the time of temptation and distress is no time to form resolves. Your excessive distress is like a summer torrent, which must be suffered to run away. In other words, you got to go through it. Nothing makes any impression upon you, and you think you have the most substantial evidence for the most imaginary states. It is the ordinary result of great suffering. God permits you, notwithstanding your excellent faculties, to be blind to what lies immediately before you, and to think you see clearly what does not exist at all. God will be glorified in your heart if you will be faithful in yielding to His designs. That's what glorifies God the most, is when in our heart we faithfully surrender, we yield to what He is trying to do in our life. That's the ultimate gift you can give to the Father. When you surrender to Him. But nothing would be more injudicious than the forming of resolutions in a state of distress, which is manifestly accompanied by an inability to do anything according to God. When you shall have become calm, then do in a spirit of recollection what you shall perceive to be nearest the will of God respecting you. Return gradually to devotion, simplicity, and the oblivion of self. Commune and listen to God and be deaf to self. Be deaf to self. Stop listening to yourself, in other words. Then do all that is in your heart. For I have no fear that a spirit of that sort will permit you to take any wrong step. But to suppose that we are sane when we are in the very agony of distress and under the influence of a violent temptation of self-love is to ensure our being led astray. When we are in the midst of a storm, confused, tossed about here and there, it's not time to make decisions. It is a violent temptation of self-love. We want to protect ourselves. We want to seek justice. We want to seek revenge sometimes. We want to be heard. But if we succumb to that temptation, we will be going astray. We will not be glorifying God at all. Ask any experienced advisor, and he will tell you that you are to make no resolutions until you have re-entered into peace and recollection. That's right. You can't accomplish anything until you're calm and peaceful in your heart again. You will learn from Him that the readiest way to self-deception is to trust to ourselves in a state of suffering, in which nature is so unreasonable and irritated. Have you ever been so afflicted in your body that you want to jump out the window, for example, that you're in so much pain? The pain, the suffering sometimes in our body triggers anger. We want to break everything. We're so impatient. So do you think in that moment that you can make any kind of sound decision? Of course not. We must bear that suffering. We must bear that turmoil. You know, I'm receiving an image of when a child is about to be born and it is turning and twisting inside the mother's womb. It's struggling to come out. This baby is going through pain. Did you know that? Babies are already born with stress. But they're fighting. They have to come through. No matter how painful it is to go through the birth canal, they're going to push and they're going to do everything to come out. And of course, the mother is going to help along, and she's also suffering tremendously. You know what I'm talking about if you're a mother. When you're going through hours and hours and hours of contractions, you feel like you're going to rip open, you're going to break your lower back, and your front is going to tear open. You want to bite somebody. You want to kill the doctors. Don't touch me anymore. Yeah. But you have to go through that suffering, through that pain, in order to give life. And it's the same with us when we're going through this new birth. It's a new regeneration. We're giving birth to ourselves over and over and over again. It's the process of sanctification. That I am no longer who I used to be. I'm a new creation. And this new creation is being upgraded every time by going through more trials and sufferings to refine me, to perfect me. And then you look back and you realize what used to really bother me even 6 months ago doesn't affect me anymore. Wow. And you see the progress. And then you say, that suffering was necessary, it was worth it. Because I got rid of a bondage. I got rid of something that was oppressing me, that was preventing me from getting closer to God. You understand? You will say that I desire to prevent you doing as you ought. If I forbid your doing it at the only moment when you are capable of it, God forbid. I neither desire to permit nor hinder. My only wish is so to advise you that you shall not be found wanting toward God. Now it is as clear as day that you would fall in that respect if you took counsel at the hands of a self-love wounded to the quick and an irritation verging upon despair. Would you change anything to gratify your self-love when God does not desire it? God forbid. Wait then until you shall be in a condition to be advised, to enjoy the true advantages of illumination. We must be equally ready for every alternative and must have nothing which we are not cheerfully disposed at once to sacrifice for God's sake. Never respond hastily. Never allow your emotions to control you and guide you. But that's, we've all done it. And I'm still struggling sometimes with certain temptations like that, when I'm being irritated by people, when I see that I have advised them but they ignore my counsel and they keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and then they come back crying and saying, well, it didn't work, I tried this and I tried that. Yeah, that sometimes I get irritated and I get impatient, but I have to overcome, and I must not respond to them in that moment. I have to come back and I have to pray and ask the Lord to guide me, to advise me what to say to that person at the right time. But we notice the impulsiveness in us, that we want to answer right away. You know, or we get a thought about somebody, we want to contact them immediately to tell them, you should do this, you should... No. Don't be hasty. Don't listen to yourself. Always go before the Lord. Father, do you want me to say this to this person? What is your will according to this person? How should I approach her? How can I guide him? Show me the way. Show me what you want me to say. Because I don't want to speak out of my own impression. I want it to be a spiritual guidance, a divine wisdom. So yes, my friends, don't allow your temptations to lead you astray. God bless.